Hello, good evening, and welcome to yet another wonderful edition of our program, Business Today. Uncommon Emmanuel has always been my name, and you know how we do it on the program every week. We tend to spotlight issues that relates with the economy, business, individual, household, and also the economy in general. And a lot has been happening from the presidency as it regards a lot of bilateral relationships between Nigeria and the rest of the world. The president is seen as the chief marketing officer of Nigeria. He's pushing the frontier of the nation to ensure that Nigeria again is respected in the Committee of Nations, not just politically, but also in the areas of economic reintegration, economic cooperation, and by all means ensure that he improve on the economic development of our nation. And you're aware that the president just signed certain bilateral MOUs with the Brazilian government, which will be the crux of our conversation this evening. We'll be looking at these MOUs that were signed by Mr. President and that of his counterpart in Brazil. We'll be looking at how these MOU will impact on Nigeria economy and also what it will benefit us going further. And like you all know, we're already seeing the impact of these MOU, these bilateral agreements that has been signed. We are told right now that E.B.S, which also is one of the key beneficiary of these MOU in the aviation sector, is already ordering some planes to ensure that he fulfill his own parts. You know, a lot was actually entered by the Nigeria and the Brazilian governments. That will be our conversation today. Our guest will be here to give us insight about the conversation. But before we go all of that, unveiling our guest, I'll be joining us live via Zoom and the rest. Let's take this report. Let's see the actual signing of these MOUs. We'll return after.
Para o desenvolvimento da aviação civil internacional. Memorando de entendimento visa ao desenvolvimento de capacidades dos servidores do Serviço Exterior brasileiro e nigeriano, com o intuito de fortalecer a atuação institucional dos ministérios das relações exteriores de cada país. Desenvolvimento de matérias-primas.
Fantastic. That was some historic signage there of 5 MOUs between the Nigerian government and that of the Brazilian government. And we are just told that there is an aviation milestone, the first direct flight from Sao Paulo to Nigeria flight. There is a flight that just, as a matter of fact, just took off not quite long, and we're already seeing the benefits or the manifestations of this MOU. I know a lot of persons are already saying we don't want it to just be signing of MOUs without any tangible results. I'm here to tell you that the first direct flight, if we can get that video, maybe as time progresses, we'll relate that to you. There's been a direct flight from Nigeria to Sao Paulo, and that is in Brazil, which is another aviation milestone. All right, so we're looking at these 5 MOUs that were signed between Nigeria and Brazil, and how does these MOU impact on the Nigeria economy? My guest is here tonight, who will be giving us insight about the conversation. There's no other person than Effort Usayuki. Effort, good evening this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me once more.
Fantastic. Now, let's look at Mr. President. Mr. President has been, over the months, he has been traveling from Nigeria to strengthen bilateral relationship, economic cooperation between Nigeria and many other countries in the world. He was in Dubai, he was in Japan some weeks back, and now he just in Brazil again, and we are seeing we want to call it Tinubu doing what he knows how to do. How will you respond to some of these bilateral relationships, these economic rejigging journeys that Mr. President is embarking on at such a time like this in the history of Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much. Firstly, I will commend the president for the move he's making regarding exposing Nigeria to these investment opportunities, because as a country, this is some of the things we really need to really grow. We talk about the Nigeria of our dream. We need to know how to market and remarket Nigeria. So what the president is doing with this MOU and agreement is a laudable achievement, I must confess. And also regarding the agreement he's signing, like one of them that wowed me is the fifth flight from Nigeria to Brazil. That will really expose and open Nigeria to a lot of investment opportunities. Rather than just going from Brazil to break it down, forget it to Nigeria, a direct flight to, just like you mentioned, E.B.S is really have started conveying passengers in that line. I think this agreement is something that will market and remarket Nigeria and attract more investment opportunity. Because Nigeria, we need to market this country because there's a lot of investment opportunities here.
Talking about marketing, are you excited seeing our president as the chief marketing officer? He seems to be doing that job pretty right. Will you agree with that?
Yeah, yes, of course. I think that's because that should be one of his primary role. And I also wish every other ministries and our top leaders also emulate such, because we have a president right now that's also mobile. He's moving from countries to countries. When
you mean mobile, were there times you had presidents who were in mobile?
Yeah, we have presidents who were just residing here. I'm expecting these investors to come and meet you here. These days in the business space, you have to leave your comfort zone. You have to go there, present your opportunity. This is what we have. Please come, help us maximize it, and we will do this. We have this kind of agreement. We will do this in a long. This is not just for something of immediate benefit. This is something of a long run. So the president is really doing that as the chief marketing, just like you say, the chief marketing, the C.M.O of Nigeria. Because if you go to, for instance, if you go to some other civilized nation, you have some investment corporations who are seriously marketing marketing resources of their own countries to other countries. So the president is really taking the right step. I must commend him for that.
Fantastic. Now let's look at commendations now. Some persons are saying no, the president is actually bringing back what he with his policy actually allowed to leave the country. Now, a lot of these businesses, multinationals, they were operational function in Nigeria. as a result of certain policies made by Mr. President, some of them left. And now the president is going all out to woo them and bring them back. Will you agree with the people, the school of thought that is that Mr. President with his policies allowed these companies exit Nigeria, and now he's working around the clock to ensure that they come back?
Okay, if you're talking about exits, I believe with some policies and some just like tax reforms, some of these policies will favor some investors and will not favor some. So the ones that it favors will remain. The ones that won't favor, of course, will exit. So I believe the president is not just going out there to just bring these people. He's also making Nigeria a good ground for them to come and invest. And making the economy a bit stable for them to not just come to invest. At least we have security. There will be provision for security. There will be regulation in tax and inflation. So it's not just about going out there to bring them. Also making the home where they are coming a place for them to reside, more secured, more business friendly. Is also something the president has to start looking at.
Fantastic, and I think the president has done a lot when it comes to putting these policies in place. First, we saw the tax act. So, in other words, from the tax angle, the president ensuring that that area is also adequately secure. 2026, we have a new tax regime and new tax policies, and also we saw the president assenting to insurance policies again. How do you juxtapose these policies, implementations side by side, back to back, and also, like you said, ensuring that he prepares their home front for foreign investors to find conducive for them to invest efforts?
Okay, like what the president is going, I really like this move of the president, but I think want to have faith to also realize that we have to also be considerate regarding public-private partnership. The president have to create a bond between the private sector and the public sector, such that once there's that bond between private and public sectors, when the investors come, where do you have people who are doing something similar? So you're not just coming to start afresh. You are coming to work with collaborators. You're coming to work with partners to ensure that, okay, these investors, this business, they're already doing something similar to what I want to do. Let's look at how we can partner with them and do it on a large scale. So you're not bringing them to come out to destroy or kill what is already existing. You should bring them to support an already existing project. And if there are some resources that have not been maximized, they can also invest in that line. Because sometimes when you bring it, when you're opening doors to foreigners, you have to also consider, okay, what about the people who are already doing something similar? How do I bring them into the picture? You understand me? Because of course you want Nigeria to grow. You also want our indigenes to also grow too. So you have to be like a public-private partnership. So it's not just about bringing investor. It should be about also collaborating with existing establishment and sectors.
Fantastic. Now, let's look at some of these MOUs now. Let's begin to take them one after the other. First, we saw the Nigeria-Brazil, the issue of trade. There was an MOU on trade. The focus was to promote export, import, exchange, and also commercial linkage, which we are open our borders to markets, open the Brazilian border, open the Nigeria border to see how they can cross-pollinate and do exchange, which will attract Brazil investment and enhance bilateral trade. We have already seen figures as high as 2.1 billion, as the case may be. Let's look at the area of trade. Nigeria, we have the market, we have the ready market. We also have the ability to also not just the ready markets, but we can also enforce. We can buy, we can patronize. The market is there, and now we're signing an agreement or a partnership with Brazil to say, all right, you can leverage on these markets to sell your products. But what do you think the government should be asking their Brazilian counterpart to do? Set up factories here to ensure that you produce goods and services here, you do business in Nigeria, and you also provide employment. Now, how can Nigeria begin to wrap around this trade MOU, this trade memorandum of understanding that they are signing? How can Nigeria benefit from it directly and indirectly? Because like you said, we must begin to strategically position ourselves to benefit from every MOU we are signing? Effort, how do you think Nigeria will benefit from this?
Talking about Nigeria benefiting from these MOUs, like I said, every key partner, collaborator, space set up have to be in the picture. You understand me? Because if Nigeria is going to fully benefit from this investment, we are not just bringing these persons. The agreement has to be beneficial. It has to be on a solid format. For instance, we have abundance of resources in this country. We have abundance of manpower. We have the linkage with aside just Nigeria. Nigeria also have link with other African countries. So Nigeria will benefit massively in terms of if this investment will improve, we increase we reduce the unemployment rate by employing our teeming youth. Nigeria also benefit if our resources are fully maximized.
The raw materials.
Yeah, the raw materials are fully maximized, such that we don't just manufacture these things and just for export purposes. We also manufacture these things for our own use, for our local consumption. Because Nigeria as a country, we rely more on imports, and which is really not healthy for our economy. So we need this material to be produced, and also of affordable use to the common Nigeria or the masses too. Because we have seen several investment opportunities by several governments, and at the end of the day, the common Nigerian man on the street cannot even maximize it, cannot even afford such investment opportunities.
When you were just speaking about this, brought to mind, we have certain corporations here in Nigeria, even in Edo State here, they are here, they set up their plants here, their manufacturing plants here, but they export their finished products. They don't sell those finished products to the local market. It is being exported. Now, don't you think we may also get to that point where the president will reach out to countries who come to Nigeria to set up factories, and at the end, like you said, your fears, they may not sell to the local market. They may produce here, use our labor, and export at a higher price to other, maybe take back to their home country or even take back to other African countries. How should the government at this point begin to ensure that such actions by these multinationals are kicked against?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that the agreement of have to be very, very, very solid and followed to the core, so that these agreements are not violated by upcoming government, because this agreement is not just for this. I was going through this, the Nigeria-Brazil agreement. It has been on ground since October 7th, which was last year. So even after this government, there's going to be subsequent government coming in. Would they be able to keep to such policy? Would they be able to abide by the rules and regulation? Would they be able to follow through? Because one thing to sign MOU. It's another thing to follow through the whole process. So if you are talking about if you are bringing investors that will just come use our resources, like I recently heard about an African country whereby they have an investment opportunity from international donors, whereby so it's international companies whereby their cocoa is being maximized, but these cocoa are being exported as out of the country, and this same country exporting this cocoa, at the end of the day, they are also manufacturing this cocoa. The country they are exporting this cocoa to, they are also importing chocolates to this same African country. You understand me? So ideally, you would have also at least maximized this cocoa and also manufacture it here and also sell it to the local market. So that at least we know we are benefiting tangibly from what you are processing. Not that you just come here, maximize take our resources and take them elsewhere. That should not be the rule, because that has been if you look at few years past government, that has been like one of their policies in terms of investment. But it should be that okay, you come here, there's opportunities, there are resources, maximize them, let the local market benefit.
Fantastic.
But let it be a large percentage given to the local market. A percentage can be, of course, there have to be room for exports too. But the priority should be the local market.
Fantastic. Now let's look at the area of aviation. We also saw a bilateral MOU between Nigeria and Brazil, where they signed an MOU in the aspect of aviation. First of all, we know what the aviation industry do. It boosts connectivity between Nigeria and Brazil, and that also influences the inflow and outflow of trade, of conveying of goods and services, humans, tourism from between both countries, and also we see jobs also being created, jobs being enhanced. Now let's look at the issue of aviation. Now it is not just at this point now, it is not just an MOU. We are seeing airpeace being given the mandate to ensure that they fill up to that capacity, and true to their word, airpeace already doing that. We already have an inaugural flight going from Nigeria to Brazil. Now, let's look at aviation. How do you think, look at the signing there, how do you think the MOU in the aviation sector will boost the economy of Nigeria?
Okay, looking at the aviation sector, I'll just do a drawback to, sorry, follow back to what we had. I think this government also made the promise of maybe renovating the Lagos airport to also expand investment opportunity too. The aviation sector is a very capital intensive sector, and it's an sector that can also bring a lot of foreign exchange for Nigeria. So I think the government is also taking a wise step towards partner with companies like flight companies like aerospace companies like E.B.S for transportation between Nigeria and Brazil, because E.B.S they have quality services, they have the resources, they have manpower, they are providing excellent services too. So the aviation sector will really benefit, because but one thing we have to also look at is that we should not just look at developing, we should look beyond just the flights. We should also look at developing the manpower for the aviation sector. For instance, the Nigeria aviation regulation, and also I think we have an aviation school.
Okay,
yeah,
setting up institutions.
Yeah, setting up institution. You get my point, because it's not just about creating just for the agreement should not just be about flights, just exposing, exposing maybe to and fro of goods and services and person, but it should also be about developing manpower for the aviation sector.
I think that should also be captured in the area of diplomacy. Maybe when we get to diplomacy, we'll look at how that will also be adequately captured there. But let's look at the costs, the time savings that, like you earlier said, that having a direct flight will do for Nigerians. Those we like traveling, we like going for tourism. We also we are business minded. How do you think a direct flight from Nigeria, you move from Nigeria and you're landing in Brazil, how will it save time, how will it save cost, and how will it ensure adequate connectivity between both countries? Okay,
regarding the direct flight from Nigeria to Brazil, for me, I think most Nigerians will prefer that option. Although from research, it may be a little bit cost, maybe cost effective. You understand, compared to indirect flight. But Nigeria has a lot. Brazil has a base of Nigerians. Like when the president came to Nigeria, I watched some video. I saw Nigerians with some Nigerians in Brazil.
He had a
conversation with them. I was like, Nigeria before now, Nigeria has a strong bond with Brazil. In terms of not just families, investment. So I think that will benefit a lot of Nigerians, because we're not looking at just Brazil. Is not just Brazil. The population of Nigerians in Brazil maybe in the hundreds of thousands thereabout. So I think Nigeria. I think the presidency is not just looking at connecting Nigeria to another country. So it's a good judgment connecting Nigeria to Brazil, because Nigerians travels to Brazil a lot, and we have Nigeria has a large base. We have a large base of Nigeria in Brazil too. So I think a lot of Nigeria will benefit from that direct flight.
Let's also look at Brazilians now. It seems we're just looking at it from Nigeria. Don't you think they will also benefit coming to Nigeria as well? Because they might be used to other African countries like
Kenyan,
like you may be aware of. But when it comes to Nigeria, what should they be expecting when they when they utilize this window now? You can have a direct flight. You don't need to, like you said, stop over somewhere and do transit and go. But now you can have a direct flight now, and they are coming. How should Nigerians be prepared to receive some of these foreign guests? I know we have been doing that, receiving other guests.
Yeah.
What should Brazilians expect from Nigerians when they come around using this route?
Okay, of course. Also regarding Brazil to Nigeria, and Brazilians want to, like I mentioned earlier, of course, insecurity is a big challenge in Nigeria, but our government have to also work on tackling that. So, of course, it cannot. Nigeria to Brazil is more than is more compared to Brazil to Nigeria. Like Brazilians coming to Nigeria is lesser compared to Nigerians going to Brazil.
Why do you think?
Because
I think that's the gap, the deficit the president is trying to breach to ensure that we now have more persons coming in than even more going out.
Yeah, coming in is not a challenge. You understand? But well, coming to meet and for something that is working. That's one. Coming to meet something that is coming to a space where there is security.
No, we can't have perfect security in any nation.
Yeah, no.
Let
me tell you, from one of the biggest challenge of investors or foreigners is security is one of the biggest challenges. Like it take a large percentage of their what influences their visit. And secondly, Nigeria has a very wonderful hospitality sector, real estate sector. So I think that's one area they can also maximize. And Nigeria is also a home for tourism too. Nigeria have a lot of arts, culture, something to display. So Nigeria really have something to offer. But just that those things have to be redefined, repackaged to suit these investors. And there are a lot of Brazilian investors in Nigeria, but they are not Brazilian. What I have noticed about Brazilian investment too is not loud compared to the way of China, Japan, Netherlands, German.
All right. Let's look at the area of the economy now. We're seeing how there is another agreement now over. We're seeing Nigeria signing another MOU with Brazil, and we're seeing over $1 billion deal, right? And that will be focused on a particular sector, which is agriculture. Now, we're saying, all right, these investments that you are bringing, let's channel it to agriculture. Let's have it in this area. Do you think Nigeria is being strategic in asking for this investment in a specific area rather than say, oh, just bring this money for us, we'll know what, when the money comes to us, we'll know what to do? But they're saying, no, this $1 billion, let it be channeled to agriculture. Let's have mechanized agriculture. Let's have the entire ecosystem when it comes to agriculture. Let's ensure that it is revamped, it is upskilled, and is taken to global standard. Now let's look at the mindset behind this particular $1 billion Nigeria-Brazil agricultural agreements. How will it work? How should our local farmers begin to position themselves? How should the various associations, various sectors, various key players in the agricultural sector, how should they be keen into this $1 billion that is about to be brought to the country specifically for agricultural purpose? Okay,
for that $1 billion investment towards agriculture, it's a very, very, very great move, because agricultural sector is a sector that really just like I saw, I think seen a few days ago, saying Nigeria should go to farm. Because we need to be safe, we need to feed ourselves. So agriculture is a sector that tomorrow requires a large form of investment, because we need to be able to sustain ourselves as a country. So agriculture, there's a lot of agricultural opportunity, because we cannot talk about maybe gas and crude oil, but we need agriculture is a sector that, just like if the government is taking the area of mechanization, it's a great move, because we need that large scale farming to be able to sustain ourselves as a country.
And look at the level of investment, $1 billion. So that will go. These billions will do a lot when it comes to boosting the agrics ecospace.
Yeah, because another thing is that I just hope this $1 billion is maximized for such purpose, are not diverted.
Obviously, we may not get the cash. Obviously, the companies can come on ground, set up structures, set up machineries, put them in place to ensure that they drive this particular process, partnering with already established agricultural bilateral settlements that we have in Nigeria, infusing and partnering with them to the tune of $1 billion. So we don't expect Brazil to give us that sort of money.
Of course. And also another thing, two things you also consider is that I want the government to also ensure that every key partner, collaborator is also brought in the picture. Not just with some person. It has to be a public-private partnership too. And secondly, this investment should reflect all over Nigeria, around the geopolitical zone. Because
you're not bringing politics into
no, I'm not bringing politics.
For me, I think whichever states they feel can effectively accommodate this investment. Like you're aware, we have goose foods coming from the north. If that particular point seems to be favorable to the Brazilians to invest and make it to a mechanized standard, why not?
Yeah, but aside just the agriculture providing feeding or maybe providing raw materials and also helping us to get some finished goods, but I'm also looking at the area of I'm also particularly looking at the area of employment too. That's why I'm not trying to be political, but I'm in a major zone. So this thing should reflect in each zone, so that if I have an agricultural hub in the west, we should have one in the north, we should have one in the south, we should have one in the east too.
But whatever they are concentrating on at that point will not become what is predominant in that area and what can flourish in that area.
Of course.
So it means all key players at this point needs to
come together
to see. Now let's look at the Petrobras that is also set to return to Nigeria after 5 years of exiting the country, which means they left in a past administration. Petrobras is saying we're coming back to Nigeria, we're coming to do business. Let's look at Petrobras return. How will that impact the oil sector, the oil field, the downstream, the upstream? How do you see this return of Petrobras impacting the petroleum sector?
Okay. I'm very, very glad right now that the focus is also Nigeria is also diversifying towards gas, not just normal petrol anymore. So of course, any form of investment is really, really welcome. For Nigeria, I was at a function recently, and when I heard some persons comparing gas and fuel, the ratio and all that. So Nigeria, one of the persons there was like, Nigeria should place premium on gas now than just petrol and diesel. So. If they have come, at least they are very, very much welcome. You understand? Because we need more competitors. Just like the way Dangote Refinery is also doing in the oil and gas space. We need more competitors to also reduce and also help us to grow as a country.
Fantastic. As we round up, let's look at the area of diplomacy now. There is going to be diplomatic training, diplomatic cooperation between Nigeria and Brazil, political consultation, building of institutional capacity. How do you think Nigeria as a country will begin to benefit? Like you said, it is not just having a direct flight. Let's also have an aviation institute to let them come invest in this area. How do you think Nigeria will begin to benefit when it comes to the area of diplomatic cooperation and also diplomatic strengthening between these both countries, Nigeria and Brazil? We'll get your thoughts in a minute or less as we round up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Human capital development is very, very, very primary when it comes to investments, because what you want to do is that you don't just want to give people drugs. You want to also try to make them doctors, because some investment opportunities come rather than raising doctors. They just give them drugs and leave them. Well, anybody you are giving drugs, fewer days or fewer years from now, may end up may develop one or two sickness and also run back to you for the same drug. But if you are talking about human capital development, make Nigerians, train Nigerians, improve our skill and manpower, so that if these investors they decide to maybe return back to their country or maybe relocate to somewhere else tomorrow, our people are skilled and they have the right resources to also continue in this line. So human capital development is very, 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 very key. So we need to set up institutes for learning, institutes for training, not just months. We need continuous development, not just one month, 2 month program. Within an institution, we can have an institution, for example, an university of mechanization, where people are taught how to operate machines. You get my point. So basically, human capital development is very, very, very primary.
26th of August, which is less than 24 hours, the president in Brazil signed MOU with the Brazilian counterpart, and this MOU aimed at deepening Nigeria's bilateral relationships. And we saw how that MOU was spread across 5 key sectors. We saw that in trade, diplomacy, science and technology, aviation and finance. While we expect in the next few months that this MOU begins to produce the needed results for Nigerians themselves, you and I should also adequately position ourselves to ensure that we run with these ideas that the president is making open for us. We can see EP is already keying into it. You also can key into it. All of us coming together, we ensure that we make Nigeria the Nigeria of our dream. Thank you, efforts, Osarige, for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, sir.
Our Zoom guest who would have loved to also share his perspective with us on these issues. But hey, join us again same time next week for another wonderful edition of our program, Business Today. My name is Uncommon Emmanuel, saying to you, have a wonderful day ahead. Bye for now.